Welcome! We thank you for joining us for the exciting continuation of the Canton Trunk. We hope you've enjoyed chapters 1 and 2. Please like the video and click on the subscribe button so you don't miss the next update. Thank you and enjoy the story.
H3, Chapter 3. Imagine, if you will, the little man's emotions at that moment. A bookkeeper who had never soiled his fingers with worse than ink, to come home and find a dead stranger in the wreckage of his room. He ran down the hall toward the payphone on the landing. Suddenly, he stopped. It was very quiet as he stood there in the hall, listening to the tick of his own watch. The face of the dead man, it came to him from the past. It was the face of his uncle, Matthias Higbee, Uncle Matt, the family black sheep, who every year until the war started had remembered him with a letter on Christmas. Mr. Higbee didn't call the police just then. He went back and searched around. He found a book of matches from the Canadian Pacific Lines, an automatic pencil, and a wallet containing a ticket stub from a Manila theater, and 2 traveler's checks for $100 each. After completing the search, Mr. Higbee put these things back exactly where he had found them and called the police. The police came and acted wiser than they were, and fellows from the Star and the PI burned some flashbulbs. That's all that ever came of it. An obvious case of robbery and murder, the police said, but Mr. Higbee was not sure. He spent the remainder of the night in the lobby of a nearby hotel. Along round 9 in the morning, he had a hunch. He started back to the Chelsea. The hunch became stronger, and he ran the last block of the distance. The mailman was just leaving. Mr. Higbee looked in the box. It contained a little, oblong package almost covered by foreign stamps. A package addressed to Uncle Matt in Uncle Matt's own handwriting. Mr. Higbee was smart enough to know that his life was in danger as soon as that package came into his possession. He slipped the package in his overcoat pocket and started up the stairs as though to go to his room. Instead, he went down the hall, out the back door, and along the alley to a little oyster house a couple blocks off the Sound. There, inside a booth, he opened it. God knows what he expected to find. A map to Treasure Island, maybe. He tore off the heavy wrapping of brown paper, opened a corrugated box, and there were the 2 objects he had shown me. The star sapphire, with its fragment of limestone clinging to it, and the old-style bronze key. No note. Just the pebble and the key. The key had the word Lacoste stamped on it, and a number, 356. He held the pebble to the light. It gleamed blue with a crystal cross. Mr. Higbee had never heard of a star sapphire, but he did before the morning was over. He took the rock to Herstabber and Company and was offered $800 for it. He didn't sell. He put the key and the gem away in his wallet and did some thinking. Whoever murdered Uncle Matt had evidently followed him from Bangkok. It was there the package had been mailed. They were no doubt after more than a mere $800. Perhaps they were after the key. At any rate, there was some reason why Uncle Matt was afraid to carry them on his person. He took the key to a locksmith who guessed it was made to fit an old-style lockbox. Perhaps a safety deposit box in some bank. Mr. Higbee did some guessing and came out with the conclusion that there was a bank called Lacoste in Bangkok, that Uncle Matt had a safety deposit box there, and that the box was filled with star sapphires worth $800 each. Can you blame him for discontinuing his savings account, quitting his job, and taking the first available passage for the Orient? "Let me see that key again," I said to Mr. Higbee, as we sat in that Bangkok coffee house. Chapter 4. He handed it to me. As I said, it was a heavy bronze affair with the word Lacoste molded into the design and the number 356 die-stamped. I'd been in Bangkok long enough to know there was not a bank called Lacoste. It was a trade name, like Yale in America. Been to the banks? I asked. All of them. Bank of Canton, the Commercial, California Pacific, and a dozen more. None of them were familiar with the key. Somebody said it was awfully old. He sighed. I guess I'll have to sell the sapphire. That should give me enough for passage home. Keep the sapphire. But do you have an idea? No, but I have a hunch. Finish your drink. He downed it and got up to go, but a big Dutchman Van Schelt had come in, and Mr. Higby was watching him like a bird watching a snake. That man, most peculiar, yes indeed, I heard Mr. Higby muttering. You don't happen to know him, do you? That's a Dutchman named Van Schelt. Van Schelt used to run a hotel down in Sarabia, or what passed under the name of a hotel. But they found a few too many paying guests floating around the mooring chains, and the colonial administration ran him out. The British have stronger stomachs than the Dutch, so he moved on to FMS. But one thing and another caused them to grow sick of him there. And he ended up in Bangkok. There were so many worse than he was in Bangkok that he fitted in quite neatly. I thought Mr. Higby was merely marveling at Van Schelt's size, which was on the scale of a Percheron horse, but it turned out to be something more. He was on the boat coming over from Seattle. Not Van, you've made a mistake. He hasn't been to sea in anything more respectable than a tramp lugger. In the last 9 years, he couldn't get a passport. I tell you, I saw him, and not only that, he tried to get acquainted with me, but I didn't like the looks of him. He had another fellow with him, a tall fellow who wore one of those single-lens glasses. A monocle? Yes, and he had a birthmark on his cheek. He talked with sort of a British accent, only not like Churchill or George Arliss, but that was Limey Jack Westlake. He seemed to stay drunk a good share of the time. Then it was Limey Jack, and no mistake. I'll tell you, sir, I did not like the looks of it. After finding out those fellows were on his trail, I would have been physically incapable of abandoning the little gentleman. You look at me strangely, sir, believing it was the sapphire which interested me. No, it is not so. You see me in tatters, the flotsam of the East, cast up by an errant tide, playing for drinks in a second-rate Chinese restaurant. But I have my code, and I live by it. But forgive me. My story. As I indicated, this Van Schelt was somewhat lacking on the score of good citizenship. However, he was smart, and Mr. Higby wasn't the sort who could hide what was on his mind. I started the little fellow toward the door, but Van saw us and came over with that rolling walk of his and blocked the way. He was easily, once again, as broad as I am, so there was no getting by. He addressed Mr. Higby. Ah, mein friend, I see you once more, ja? And he showed 2 rows of coffee-brown teeth in what he intended to be a friendly smile. He explained to me and Higby, we ride together on bat from Seattle, ja. You have business here, Higby? I, started Higby. It's none of your concern, Van Schelt, I cut in. And by the way, the Consul General knows Higby is in town. Ah! Why tell me this? Just to let you know that as he should go floating across the bar with a knife and ribs, you'll be asked to answer some questions. Ho! You think because you are thieves, all honest men are thieves too? Chapter 5. You can see what he was getting at, trying to give Higby the idea I was taking home on a one-way trip. He knew Higby was cautious, and a suggestion like that might make him sneak away from me. Cobra smart, that Van Schelt. He went on. Edging close, I could smell the Zwiebeltiffen he'd been eating. Like those English tourists you sell, Raptursack Consolidated in Surabaya, ja? Ho ho. I'd been in Surabaya, of course, but I'd had no dealings with an English tourist, and I'd never heard of Raptursack Consolidated. There was nothing for me to do except stand there and take it. Fat and gross he was, yes, but the strongest man I have ever seen. In Jostock, they tell how he once lifted a pony bale of hemp and carried it from the NPC wharf all the way to the Fiskoker. But that's just the story, and I wouldn't vouch for it. Anyhow, I have good reason to remember his strength, as you shall presently hear. He chuckled and blew his foul breath around for a while, but everybody in Sam's go-to, looking at him, so he returned to his drink at the bar. He stood there with his back to us, but I could see his little swine eyes watching in the mirror as we opened the insect door and went outside. As you see, sir, all the parts of the puzzle were there. It was simple enough to piece them together and jump to the conclusion. I'll state it thus, briefly. Uncle Matt had acquired a wealth of star sapphires, and Limey and Van Schelt knew about it. Matt realized they were out to get him, so he deposited the stones in a vault and decided to get out of sight for a while. He naturally thought of his nephew in Seattle. He must have suspected he would be followed. So to play safe, he put one star sapphire and the key to the vault in a package and mailed it to himself at his nephew's address. Van Schelt and Limey followed him to the Chelsea and cut him down. They didn't find the secret. Maybe they didn't even know exactly what they were looking for, but they suspected Mr. Igby, and they followed to keep an eye on him. Mind you, I'm not saying that's how it really was. It was just my conclusion. Thank goodness we're rid of him, muttered the little fellow. We're not rid of him, if I know Van Schelt, but if we keep walking along these sidewalks, this maze of canals, men like Van Schelt have their ways.
Thank you for listening to this audiobook. We sincerely appreciate you and want you to return weekly for updates and additional content. Please click like the video and click on the subscribe button so you don't miss updates on new content and so you get notifications. Have a wonderful day and may luck be on your side in all you do.